Okay, I'm gonna record for a little bit, team, so just kind of try to be quiet, no blenders or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, give it a try. Okay, Anine.
Winona, I'll just, somebody else will introduce you, but here we go. Winona, welcome to Community Church of Boston.
Thank you. Anine Nindaway Muganaduk. Hello, my relatives. I'm honored to be here today with you. I wish I could be in person. And, I just want to say that I'm happy to be able to visit with you and grateful to the people of your church and the community of Massachusetts, the progressive history that has come out to support us in our battle against the fossil fuels industry here in Minnesota. I also want to acknowledge Sacco and Vanzetti. I've known of their history since I was a young woman. My mother was in the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. So I come from a union family that understood the value of union work and the dignity of human beings in the labor force. And so, I want to say, and I'm going to still stand for the same things that we're all standing for today: justice and dignity for all relatives, whether they have wings or fins or roots or paws. Because fundamentally, these are the same battles. These are battles over for justice, ecological justice or economic justice, human rights justice. So that's why I'm here, because you guys are the cool people in Boston. And I appreciate you. And I want to, just say a little bit of to my relatives out there, the Wampanoag people out there and the other indigenous people, I want to send a greeting. I'm always grateful to be in your territory in person, much better because I get to eat all the good food. Zoom, also good, just to give my greetings and acknowledgement to your land and to my relatives, because as an Anishinaabe person, I am your relative. Our people came from you. We're instructed to follow a shell which appeared in the sky to the food which grows upon the water. That's wild rice, our most sacred food. And so my language is your language, your work, because your challenge in colonialism is deeper than mine in my territory. You got a lot more years of it. I just read the article about the Tisbury discussion on Columbus Day or not. And I was kind of just astounded that one of the, elders or different, white Anglo-Yankee elders were just, really didn't understand anything about indigenous people, but understood Columbus, and so there's a lot of work to do in our communities to begin the process of kind of really coming true, being truthful to who we are and what we're doing here. So I am here because I'm going to talk to you about line 3 and a just transition. And we're all in this together. I mean, the reality is that, we all drink the same water and breathe the same air. And what is happening in Minnesota is a crime, and it's a crime that is ongoing. And that crime is Enbridge's line 3, a pipeline that they are trying to, put in and shove down our throats, literally. And my people have for 8 years fought this pipeline, not my choice to be a pipeline fighter, but this is a bad idea. Now, Enbridge brings in 75% of the tar sands into the United States. And I think what we know is that you don't need tar sands oil. It's the dirtiest oil in the world, and it's extracted from our communities in the north, and it's devastating across the board. What I would say is the dirtiest oil in the world with such a heavy ecological and social impact should not be in our cars, but we all just need to move along. Move away from the fossil fuel addictions that we have, because to me, we're looking at what I would call late stage fossil fuel addiction behavior. And what's that mean? It means you don't got any spurting oil rigs out in Oklahoma anymore. What you're doing is digging, drilling 20,000 feet under the ocean until you get an oil rig problem like in Santa Barbara, and you're digging, or, in the Gulf of Mexico, you're doing extreme extraction of fracking, busting up the bedrock of Mother Earth, using a bunch of Halliburton chemicals and hope that's going to work out. And what goes down won't come up, which doesn't make any sense. And then maybe we're just doing Arctic extraction or tar sands. This is all like super extreme behavior, which is what addicts do. The harder it is to get your fix, the worse you try for it. And the more, the billions of dollars we are spending defending oil reserves, the military industrial complex is also about oil. So my feeling is that we really need to be the people who move on. You know, in our teachings as Anishinaabe, this is called the time of the seventh fire, where we're told we have a choice between two paths. One path is well-worn and scorched. That's the one we see, and the other one is green. It is green, and that path is not well charted. You know, so I'm talking to you, I'm a community organizer, rural development economist, ricer up in northern Minnesota, trying to both be in the center of this resistance to this giant fossil fuel pipeline, and then ask this question of what's our plan? What is our plan? What we're doing? You know, am I gonna spend the rest of my life fighting rocks and pipes, bad ideas? You know, I spend my whole life fighting stupid ideas, quite frankly. You know, I probably met Dean Stevens over at the Seabrook nuclear power plant at the Clamshell Alliance gatherings up there in the 70s, where I was a student at Harvard. You know, I went up there, I saw, you know, all the cool people up there resisting. That was inspired. The clamshell movement, the anti-nuclear movement formed me, you know, because I was working on uranium mining as a young woman on the Navajo reservation. And what I know is that there's no safe way to mine uranium. And so no matter what a nuclear industry would say, like, it's going to be clean and unmetered and, you know, it's the future. That's not true. You know, every choice that we make in our Wendigo, I mean, it's like Wendigo is a cannibal. In our Wendigo economic system, you know, causes more and more extractions. And, you know, so I'm, you know, I spent a lot of time building alliances in the 80s, in the late 70s between our indigenous communities and the anti-nuclear movement. And the reason that, you know, Seabrook 2 and Vermont Yankee and, you know, Mills, I don't forget the one now, Millstone or something, like all those guys are like not going forward, or more nuclear power plant isn't going forward, is because of people like us, you know, and our resistance. You resist these projects long enough and one day they die. They don't ever say they're sorry. They say it was economically unviable. That's generally how they approach things. But, you know, the longer you resist, the more expensive their projects are. And that's how you defeat bad guys, is you just keep resisting. That's my experience, is you just keep resisting. And in the meantime, you also make the next economy. That's what we're doing up here at White Earth. So just a little update on the horrible situation of line 3. They got the pipe in. They say they got oil in it. We don't actually know if they have oil all the way through. When last we heard, it was partway through, because they still have hemorrhaging aquifers. They pierced an aquifer in Clearwater County, right by Itasca Park. And they haven't figured out how to fix that one yet. They're draining it's like the aquifer is bleeding out millions of gallons of water, drinking water, you know. Then they fracked, they contaminated 28 river crossings with frack out chemicals that they had to use for drilling. And in order to drill, because doing super extractive, horrible things takes a lot of fresh water, they had to take water from all of our rivers. They sucked rivers dry. Did I say that? They sucked rivers dry. And they stole water from municipal water supplies at the highest bidder. So Enbridge's oil drilling was done with the blessings of the Park Rapids City Council, who gave them municipal drinking water. That's what I mean, late stage fossil fuels addiction. Why would you give up your drinking water for a Canadian multinational to put in the dirtiest oil in the world and threaten the rest of your water? That's like the crazy stuff that we're dealing with this, you know? And so 5 billion gallons of water, fracked, busted aquifer. And then let's just talk the arrests. I'm charged in 3 counties in northern Minnesota. 3 counties for being a water protector, for being an Anishinaabe person. But, you know, I was joined by a lot of people from Massachusetts, and I want to hold my hands up to you in gratitude for you coming out to stand with this. You know, in the middle of like January or February, like I was out there, you know, I'm very outdoorsy, been out there since December, standing on the front lines. And there was some folks from Massachusetts that got arrested, maybe from New Hampshire too. It was like 7 elders and a piano. I thought that was great. Someone was playing piano right in front of an Enbridge work site. They had to haul away them elders and the piano. I was like, how long they charge the piano for? But thank you. Thank you, courageous, innovative, cool people from Massachusetts and elsewhere, for coming out and making a ruckus with us, because this is your problem too. You know, 900 people arrested. Did I say that? 900 people arrested. And the thing about this is increasingly problematic is not only were we arrested for being water protectors, I've got unlawful assembly. I've got attendance at unlawful assembly, you know, which I'm not sure how you can do both of those things, but you can attend it and get charged that way. I got a lot of trespassing charges on critical infrastructure. And I got, I have a public nuisance charge, which I thought was kind of disparaging. I don't feel like a public nuisance. I feel like Enbridge is a nuisance to the public. But my point is that my charges are just part of this multitude of people being charged. And how did that all happen? One of the things that we're dealing with that is very important for y'all to take a look at is that, let me just get this right. The police were paid for by the multinational corporation. This is a big problem. So look, Canadian multinationals, mining corporations represent about 75% of the mining corporations of the world today. They're basically running roughshod over Central America, all over Africa, installing coups, killing people, all kind of human rights violations, getting charged in Canadian courts, or Indigenous people are just like in Guatemala, in El Salvador, saying no to Canadian multinationals. So what did they do in Minnesota? Rather than face the possible $38 million worth of military charges that they had for Standing Rock, instead, they have the Canadian corporation pay for the military. That's what they did. And so far 2.4 million is what we know that they got, but probably more than that. They got what we know is that they paid the police. And so the problem with this is that all the police costs associated with Line 3 were reimbursed by Enbridge. And what that does is it incentivizes repression, because you get more money if you follow around water protectors in their little Priuses or Toyotas or Subarus, telltale cars of water protectors from what I could see. If you follow them around, you profile them and you intimidate them, and then you start charging them for being on the side of a county road. That's what people are being charged with, And so all of that harassment paid for by Enbridge. And so they got more money, the more harassing they did. And now we're all like facing charges in all of these courts up there. So what is wrong with that? Let's say everything. At some level, you're thinking that the police are supposed to protect and serve your community. Now, being the state that George Floyd was murdered in, we know that that doesn't apply to people of color. But in some world like theory, we would think that the police would not be financed by a foreign corporation. That's kind of third world and stuff. Kind of sounds like Canada in Central America. But here it was in northern Minnesota with a lot of Indigenous people. So the thing is that this happened in Minnesota, but there is national interest in doing the Minnesota model. I was like, y'all don't want Canadian multinationals financing the police everywhere. That's what's happening. That is totally not only undemocratic, but that's like ridiculous in terms of any semblance of a democratic system. Add to that all of these new laws, the ALEC laws, that they're criminalizing people like me, turning it into a felony to express your First Amendment rights when you don't think that a multinational corporation should steal your water. State of Wisconsin now facing Enbridge accelerated project. We have a lot of people that are going to be arrested in Wisconsin. And we're going to do our best to head them off there. But my point is that I think everything's getting prostituted to fossil fuel companies in the system. And I think that is really the issue that we got to address. So where we are now, my tribe, most innovative thinkers of all, several years ago passed the rights of wild rice as a part of our tribal constitution, 2018. I was there. And I was so proud of our tribe for recognizing our most significant food as being a sacred being and having a right to exist without contamination, pollution, and such things, right? We passed that. And then, we've been protecting our rice and extending our protection jurisdiction over our sacred monomen, our wild rice, throughout our territory. And I think it was in 2016 or 2017, the state of Minnesota said, we're not going to make Indians get any more permits for harvesting wild rice in the state. Y'all just keep harvesting. We said, yeah, that's what we're going to intend to do anyway. So tribe has exercised more and more jurisdiction within our treaty territory, the 1855 treaty territory this is, to protect our wild rice. Well, my tribe sued the state of Minnesota Department of Natural Resources and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency for their flagrant mismanagement and destruction of wild rice. Why would you issue a permit for 5 billion gallons of water in the worst drought in the history of the state for Enbridge to be able to dewater, to put in their pipeline and have enough water for their drills. Gross mismanagement. Same thing with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. Sitting there, I was in the middle of a frack out, standing there looking at this gunk at the bottom of the Willow River in person, sitting there in the river, which is theoretically free speech zone, the river, public waters, right? We would think so. I'm in the middle of the river. I'm like, look, there's a frack out here. The DNR cop, Department of Natural Resources cop, is like, Laduke, you get out of the river, I'm going to arrest you. I mean, so witnessing a crime, I'm told I'm going to be charged with trespassing for reporting and acting on the crime. Anyway, blessings to Sacco and Vanzetti, because I get y'all. You know, this is the same darn thing. It's like, how did the rights of corporations come to supersede all of our rights? You know, what about the human dignity of the people who live there and the workers and jacked up systems, you know, jacked up systems that are jacked up on fossil fuels? I think it's called regulatory capture. When corporations control your regulatory system, your legal system, your political system, that's what you got. So we're going to keep fighting Enbridge. You know, we don't think it's okay that this third largest corporation in Canada should own the water of the North. Don't own me. Don't own our people. And you know what? That's the 75% of the tar sands coming into the US come in through Enbridge. They go all the way to the East Coast. They're buying up pipeline companies everywhere. You know, for 6 years, I've written letters to Enbridge's board CEO. His name is Al Monaco. I feel like I'm on a personal basis with him. I just write him letters. Dear Al, Winona here. Winona, the water protector. I write him these letters and I'm like, you should move along. Invest in some renewables. You know, maybe like clean up some pipes instead of leaving $24 billion worth of old pipes here that we don't know who's cleaning up. What you need is a just transition. But Enbridge doesn't want to do that. They keep just buying more pipelines. And now they're trying to say they're into renewable energy. So look, this is my observation. First, Canadian multinationals should not own us. And the liability of Enbridge is really the liability of fossil fuel culture. I've been around and seen W.R. Grace, and I even saw Union Carbide belly up, right? What happened? Superfund site, Bhopal, can't pay their fees. You know, what do they do? Can't pay their fines. What do they do? Bankrupt. Right. Not like I've, you know, not like I was born yesterday, guys. So that's kind of my question is what you doing with these fossil fuel companies who have $24 billion worth of old pipes laying around in the Great Lakes region? Who's cleaning up that mess? The pipes are done. 50-year-old pipes into the Straits of Mackinac. Like, how high are you? These things got to come out. My point is that my problem is also the problem of Boston and everywhere else. You guys got gas mains. I'm surprised the city don't blow up from all the leaking gas mains and the aging infrastructure. Now, no one pays attention to infrastructure because we just assume it's going to work. Kind of entitled first world people and all. Well, it turns out that stuff is just like falling apart. And that's why we need real infrastructure. We need to clean up stuff for people. You need a real infrastructure bill that's not for fossil fuel companies. Like, who the hell needs a $9 billion pipeline project? That's Enbridge's most expensive tar sands pipeline project in the history. They're going to choke on it. Guarantee you, they're going to choke on it. $9 billion to put in the last tar sands pipeline, right? It's kind of like other unessential infrastructure projects, like the wall. This is like the equivalent of the wall, the northern equivalent of the wall. My personal feeling right now is we need a wall between us and Canada, because all my problems come from Canada. They don't come from Mexico. I'll keep the Mexicans, the Mexican food, all the cool people that are coming across. They're all indigenous. Canadian multinationals, not indigenous. They're the trash of colonialism, is what they are. You know, they're Wendigo capitalists. And so give me a wall in the north. Let me keep those guys out. So look, my problems are everybody's problems. And we're all in the same, we all drink the same water. We all breathe the same air. And what I'm saying is the infrastructure issues of this country are basic issues. Like, I'm not opposed to pipelines, but I want Flint, Michigan to have pipes, right? That's what I want. I want pipes for people, you know, not for multinational corporations to mess stuff up more, right? And so that's this opportunity that we need to keep pushing for, is what infrastructure justice looks like, you know? And I know there's bills in Congress. I'm a big supporter of the squad. those women got my support 150%. But my point is like, you got to keep struggling for this stuff and you got to keep fighting for us. That's probably the lesson of Sacco and Vanzetti right there. You know, keep up your struggle, because nothing, yet power does not concede without struggle. We know that one. And, you know, so let's look at this infrastructure issues and how to transform. The other part of it is like, I'm all ready for the next economy. My relatives, my ancestors talk about a choice between two paths, one well-worn and scorched and the other green. You know what the green path looks like? Organic local food systems, food that you don't transport, like the shrimp that come out of, where they come out of Scotland, deveined in China, shipped to a Costco near you. Wean yourself of that habit. That's a dumb one to have. Eat local, you know, as much as you can. Relocalize your food system. Then when stuff gets shipped around, don't ship it in plastic and don't ship it with fossil fuels. What we need is solutionary rail. I don't know if y'all heard of that solutionary rail. You need an electric train system because that's the most efficient way to move anything. And I was looking at something, and a B-1 bomber, how much they spent on a B-1 bomber a couple of years ago is the equivalent of upgrading all the Amtrak. I was like, this is what we've all been saying. You know, you need the military budget for civilian purposes, right? But you need to go beyond just upgrading. You need electric trains and you need renewable energy. But what we don't need to do is enable, Elon Musk to have any more coups in Bolivia. What we need is a just transition that, first of all, addresses our overuse of energy, our inefficiencies. I mean, just imagine, I think Boston's like blowing 25% of its oil out, or, you know, your aging pipelines. You know what I'm saying is like, we're wasting stuff. We're wasting water. We're wasting oil, wasting everything. They say that we waste 70% of our energy 60% between point of origin and point of consumption. So what's that mean? Why would I want to build an energy economy to fuel that waste? No, we want an efficient energy economy, which is community solar on your house, you know, efficiency. Don't do dumb stuff. That's just my statement to everybody. Quit doing dumb stuff, you know, and then make the next economy. The last thing I'm going to say about the next economy is hemp. So I'm a hemp farmer. I've been growing for 6 years. I grow fiber hemp. And the goal of my fiber hemp is to turn it into textiles so that the descendants of Sacco and Vanzetti and a bunch of other people can make textiles out of it. You know, we used to have a manufacturing economy in the United States. We used to make stuff here. Now we just buy stuff from China. So how about we rebuild an economy that makes sense, you know, where you can work with textiles that are not made of fossil fuels, because that's what we're doing right now. We're in a totally fossil fuel textile economy. So I'm doing hemp. I'm interested in fiber hemp. I've been working on it, and one day soon I'll be able to give you some canvas. Oh, that's right. The word canvas comes from cannabis. So what if we just did that? And then I'm going to use my byproducts to see if I can work on some insulation and build some hempcrete houses for tribal people. And then, and then I heard that what they're looking at is that the hemp itself can be turned into batteries, supercapacitors, from what I understand. Hemp's a miracle. Aside from the, cannabis economy, I'm a big supporter of legalization, but the new green revolution, that's what I call it. That's what we call it, the new green revolution, because it's not just in smoking the herb, it's in making an economy that's based on a post-fossil fuels economy, which has hemp at the center of it. The other thing about hemp, not only does it bioremediate, but it's a carbon sink, and that's what we need right now is to bring, put that carbon back in the soil, because really basic biology class teaches you carbon belongs in soil, not air. That's what we got to do. So listen, that's what we're doing up here. Honor the Earth. Our affiliate organizations, Anishinaabe Agriculture, King, we're buying some land. Oh, you guys will like this. Enbridge bought the land on two sides of my organization. They did. Right next to the reservation, they bought the land that surrounded us. I was like, Enbridge, what you gonna do with that? You gonna put a pipe yard in my tribe? Well, anyway, about 3 weeks ago, I messaged the project manager. I used my little sacred cell phone. I'm like, hey, you want to give me that land back? He says, we'll sell it to you. So for $166,000, I'm buying my predator out. I'm going to buy the land around my organization. It's 110 acres. And, instead of growing pipes, I'm going to grow corn and hemp, mushrooms, some other cool stuff, feed my community. That's what we're going to do. But that's what the just transition looks like. You know, you got to be innovative. Time for land back is now, especially from predators like Enbridge, right? And then you build the next economy, and that's based on, you know, in our case, indigenous seeds, real old squash, all kind of cool beans, and horse-drawn agriculture. That's what we do. And then we make solar thermal panels here on the reservation. 8th Fire Solar. Reduce your heating bill by 20%. It's gonna be a cold winter, guys. You know, and your heating bills are gonna double. I know what they say, 50% increase in heating bills. Is that what they said? You know, so time to do cool stuff. Crisis is opportunity. Pandemic is portal. That's what Aaron Dottie Roy says. The pandemic is a portal. I'm saying walk through the portal, walk through clean. Bring the just transition with you and stay strong. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to visit with y'all. And, you know, I mean, I would have been there in person, like I said, like the whole idea of your church really resonated with me coming from where I come from. And so just hands up to you for that, you know, being those principled people. And also for all those arrests people from Massachusetts took out here on line 3. Stay strong. We're fighting them still in Minnesota. The tribal court is hearing the state of Minnesota was ordered into tribal court by the federal courts. And the federal court decision is not down yet on Enbridge. We're going to keep fighting them in every legal and regulatory mechanism and on the ground and in the streets. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to build the next economy and leave them guys in the dust. Because, you know, you don't need solar to power the sludge of tar sands. What you need is solar for villages. So that's how the future looks, is you make it. Because if you wait for someone else to solve this one for you, we ain't going to do very well. So listen, y'all, thank you so much. And for everything, that miigwech.